KOSPI at 66.15. Look, a massive concentration signal has just been confirmed. Let's break down exactly what this means for the US Tech Open right now.
All right, let's get right into it. The first thing you need to do is ignore that KOSPI all-time high headline. It's just noise. The real signal, the one that matters, is this crazy capital concentration into just two specific AI stocks. And that institutional flow is going to define the entire setup for the US tech session tonight.
Now there is one number, just one, that you absolutely have to remember. 72.8%. This single number, well, it tells the entire story of what's really going on beneath the surface. Okay, so here's the headline that's got everybody talking, right? The KOSPI hits a record 6,615, surging over 2%. And on the surface, sure, it looks like this big, broad risk-on party. But it's not even close. So we've got to go deeper. This is where the real work starts. We're going to analyze the capital flow, the money moving under the hood of that index, because that's where the truth is. And what we're looking at is a classic index illusion. You've probably seen this before. It's what happens when just a couple of mega cap giants literally drag the entire index up with them, all while hiding the fact that hundreds of other companies are either flat or, getting sold off.
And here it is. This is where that 72.8% comes right back into the picture. Just look at this breakdown. That's how much of the day's entire gain came from only two companies, Samsung and SK Hynix. The other 806 stocks, they barely even moved the needle. It's incredible.
Now, check this out. Look at the flow. This is the precision of foreign capital in action. We're talking an injection of over 19 trillion won into Samsung and Hynix. But at the same time, they were dumping over 10 trillion won from everything else. This wasn't some broad bet on Korea. No way. This was a surgical strike targeting AI infrastructure. This right here tells you the whole story in just two pictures. The signal was activated by one thing and one thing only. Massive demand for HBM, high bandwidth memory for AI. It had absolutely nothing to do with the broader economy, which big money just completely ignored. And it gets even more specific. Look, even inside the red-hot AI sector, smart money was picking and choosing. You had Hanmi Semi, a key supply chain node, see this huge plus 26% signal activation. Looks like a short squeeze. But then, at the same time, Lino Industries, part of the same supply chain, fractures, down almost 12% after a major shareholder bailed. See, this is not random buying. This is a hunt for quality. So here's the bottom line. This is why we're watching this so closely. All this super specific activity in the Korean HBM supply chain, it has a direct, high correlation, a very strong rho value with the US Semiconductor Index, the SOXX. To put it simply, what happens in Seoul tonight gives us the vector, the direction, for US tech tomorrow morning. But hold on. This powerful bullish signal doesn't get a free pass. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. Right now, we are looking at a critical conflict between the supply chain data and the wider macro environment. And these macro headwinds, they are active, and frankly, they're dangerous. You've got Brent crude sitting above $105 a barrel. You've got the VIX, the market's fear gauge, up around 19. These are textbook risk-off signals, and they are flying directly in the face of the bullish flow we're seeing in semis.
So this is it. This is the conflict that's going to decide the US Open. On one side, you have the supply chain signals screaming bull. On the other, you have macro pressure from oil and volatility shouting bear. Which one is going to dictate the price action?
All right, that brings us to the battle plan. Analysis is complete. It's time to shift to execution. The rule is simple. Do not trade the headline. You trade the supply chain. These are your levels. They're the only ones that matter. Entry is 27,200 on NASDAQ futures. Confirm with a 15-minute candle close above. Your exit is 26,700. Below this level, the signal is a failed breakout. The zone between 26,700 and 27,200, that's a chop range. You invalidate the trade. Stay in cash. Final sequence, pre-market validation checklist. First, watch NASDAQ futures hold above 27,000. Second, confirm the SOX is aligned with the NASDAQ. Third, invalidate the long if Brent crude breaks 110. And finally, monitor Verizon CapEx commentary for sentiment. Log the result at 0730 EDT. No exceptions. If you need this analysis from the Asia close before the New York Open, You know what to do. Subscribe. Be here.